Thank you so much. So welcome everybody to our next episode of the OpenStack Online Meetup. In this meetup, we will present and demonstrate IBM Cloud OpenStack Services, a hosted and managed infrastructure as a service private cloud solution. And this is our second session with IBM, followed up on our meetup in September on IBM's mainframe virtualization solutions at VM. Our speaker today will be Ashish Patel, Senior Product Manager at IBM. And with that said, let me hand over to Ashish. Ashish, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Raphael, and thanks for inviting IBM to speak at this online meetup today. Thank you for everybody who's online and attending as well. Quick information about myself. So I've been with IBM for about 9 years now, and my career is basically launching new products within the company, so sort of being like an entrepreneur. And this is the fourth major product that I'm a part of launching, and this is a culmination of over the last year where as a company we've been trying to figure out and determine how do we want to take OpenStack services to the marketplace. And OpenStack is very interesting to us because it's very similar to Linux in a way where there was a lot of open source activity and a lot of companies creating distributions around that. And we wanted to really do something a little bit unique and something that resonated well with our clients around taking OpenStack out of the community and really adding value add to our clients and putting that together in a service form. So what I'd like to do is spend roughly the next 30 minutes here and take you through that story and that journey for us. Also, permitting time, I'd like to also do a live demo here as well for you. My contact information is at the end of the presentation as well, so you're welcome to connect with me online, or if you're going to be at the OpenStack Summit in Paris in a couple weeks, you can also come and find me there as well. Okay. So as I mentioned, what I'm going to be talking about today is IBM Cloud OpenStack Services. And there's a really important a piece of information to really understand about why this is so important to us and why our contributions and commitment to the OpenStack community have also been very important. What we have been learning over the last several years as a lot of our clients adopt cloud not only onto their premise, but also start consuming cloud services that are hosted off their premise, is that we have been trying to really help our clients strike a good balance between their challenges. And if I could summarize, a lot of their challenges are finding that balance between innovation and optimization. So there are, if you take the traditional enterprise that is out there today, they have come from a history of having systems of record specifically, that are within the walls of their corporation and specifically maybe even on their own premise. And some of this information is sensitive. It needs to be secured, governed, so on and so forth, and resilient to continuing their business operations. And we've learned that approximately 70% of just traditional IT enterprise budgets are just spent in keeping things running as usual. But when you think about how where enterprises or any business really needs to go in the future, they need to grow, they need to engage deeper with their customers, they need to reach beyond the globe, and so on and so forth. And a lot of this requires innovation. So this is where we begin to speak a lot about what we call systems of engagement, where you're extending reach into deeper penetration into customer segments that you already have, or you're also trying to attract new segments of customers that maybe you didn't have or you didn't know would be viable to the value add that your enterprise can provide. So a lot of this innovation, it's this new era. You have to be anywhere, anytime. You have to be able to provide very quick updates, roll out new applications and services, and that's really where the core of your business is a lot of these companies that we've been dealing with is starting to trend to. And having that rapid behavior then needs to strike a good balance with continuing to leverage the assets that you already have, which are part of the system of record. And this is really where executing an IT strategy becomes a challenge for our customers as well. So what we wanted to do was say, okay, we recognize that this is a challenge. Even ourselves, as an enterprise ourselves, we're experiencing this day in and day out as well. As we try to grow and expand our company. So this is really, I wanted to really make sure that I could paint the picture of the challenges that we're facing and where the growth needs to happen with innovation as well. So what I want to take you in through is, well, how do you strike that balance, and what are some of the services out there that help you do that? So when we start talking about specifically cloud, there's several things that we've learned over the last year or two here, where we've started looking at what kinds of applications and services are core to some of these companies, and where do they live, and how do they live. So what we've learned, kind of carrying on with my previous theme here, is there's assets that are on the customer's premise, right? And there's new innovative assets that are being created, new applications and services that are being created off their premise as well. And so there's different characteristics of both of these. But ultimately, in order to create more value out of the assets that any business has today or creates in the future, there's a big integration between both of these. And with cloud technology, a lot of this is where we're treading towards in what we're calling hybrid cloud, right? So let me talk a bit about what we mean and what about the value drivers around hybrid cloud in creating that new value and reaching those new customers that you're always trying to reach. So a couple points around that is, and with cloud, we see this all often, right? So we're all familiar with time to value and taking and leveraging that new innovative function, which I previously mentioned, taking that to the market and taking it faster. But sometimes, these are experiments as well. So you want to be able to take it out to the market very quickly, adapt it, or even just kill it off, right? So get an exit strategy for some of these things as well. So you need that flexibility. You need to control over a lot of your systems of records, systems and assets that contain data and contain services that are very core to your business. So you have to govern those, but you still need to be able to expose them towards providing that new innovative applications and services for your customers. So this is really where hybrid cloud really starts to fit in, is how do you connect something that is hosted off of a premise with something that is on your own premise. But then also, in the long tail, how do you manage all of this, right? How do you ensure that you're giving the right availability to your applications, that you're getting cost efficiencies, and you're, unlike moving from a traditional model of having pure CapEx to moving to more of an OpEx point of view and being able to manage that quite easily with the skills that you have in-house and potentially growing some of those skills as well. So extending the reach has been really important, but we believe that a lot of these challenges and a lot of the value that customers can get with hybrid cloud is really where the future is, and that's really where we want to be focusing. So let me kind of take this another step forward. So when we talk about IBM Cloud OpenStack Services, this is really the first building block to achieving that hybrid cloud vision. And so, what we have heard is that in surveying and interviewing customers when we were forming the concept for this product is these businesses wanted to focus on the core pieces of their business. They wanted to, let go of things that are very, not directly driving interaction with their clients and customers. So they really wanted to focus on their applications and services, but they didn't necessarily want to have to manage the infrastructure that is below it, right? This is something that specifically customers have come to us and asked because, we have a lot of expertise in that. So that's one really important key point. The other key point is around operating your applications and services and developing those new innovative services. In terms of operating, being able to scale workloads as your customer base grows, or even scale it in a particular geography as different parts of the world grow faster than another part of the world for your particular application or service. So scalability and being able to do this with through automation has been very important. And from a development standpoint, being able to have consistency between development and operations, specifically through standard APIs, has also been another key sticking point in adopting cloud technologies into some of these businesses as well. And lastly, just being able to, kind of carrying on in terms of the themes of automation and scalability, being able to do this in an elastic manner. So being able to move purely to an OpEx, operational expense model, where you're buying as you need and decommissioning as you need, growing elastically, but also getting flexibility in the types of services that your workload needs. And this is really important. And this is really important because there's cloud models that are available where you might be paying for services that you don't necessarily leverage, or your workload doesn't necessarily need, especially when you're looking at production type workloads versus non-production type workloads, or workloads that require management and high resiliency and availability, whereas compared to workloads that maybe don't need some of these characteristics. So having that flexibility and being able to really put the right solution together for your business has also been very important as well. So that covers our business, our development operations, and our infrastructure view. So the way that we've formulated this is we've really thought about how do we gain some of this flexibility and provide open standards around a managed infrastructure and provide this to the marketplace. And what we've come up with is what is formed as IBM Cloud OpenStack Services, which is this managed infrastructure which provides OpenStack as a service, really focusing on 3 key points around security and performance, where it's a pure private cloud where all of the hardware and all of the assets here are purely dedicated to the customer, which means you don't get contention from other businesses being on the same platform. You get really, you can predict what your performance is because you know exactly the workloads that are running there, and you can govern your enterprise security, govern to your own enterprise security standards and processes because you have complete control of the environment. And that has really resonated well with a lot of what our clients have been asking us for in terms of enterprise cloud services. Last couple points is, they really, like I already mentioned, they want the flexibility. A lot of the characteristics around public cloud they've been asking for, but in a more private cloud fashion, being able to scale, being agile in terms of how you scale to meet your workload demands elastically, and so on and so forth. And just the last key point here is portability. This is a really important piece that really touches on open technologies, and we're all familiar with OpenStack. So when you think about it from an enterprise point of view, and they already have some systems, they have some legacy systems, or maybe they've been tinkering around with OpenStack in their environment. Really being able to take those assets and a lot of that stuff that they've created there and bring that into a service that they can just use right away. That portability and that reuse has been really important as well. So this is really the foundation and the formulation around IBM Cloud OpenStack Services in helping to achieve the hybrid cloud vision. And so what do you actually get? So this is actually a turnkey solution that is, you can run any types of workloads on it. We've specifically kept workloads like hosted enterprise applications like ERPs, CRMs, mail, things like this, things that an enterprise would typically host. There's also some analytics workloads, as well as your web and mobile, your applications where there's multi-tier solutions there as well. So it's really a turnkey. You're not waiting, for example, going through weeks or months of engagements to design this architecture. We've done a lot of that work up front, and it becomes a part of this turnkey solution where you get this. You get a cloud that is hosted at any of our SoftLayer data centers worldwide. We have a very growing and expanding footprint around the globe, so you can pick any SoftLayer data center you'd like. All the infrastructure is dedicated. This includes the management environment, which means you're not sharing OpenStack with other customers, and it's purely dedicated to you. Hardware is also purely dedicated to the customer. And best of all, it's managed to IBM standards as well. And we actually go even further, not just managing the underlying infrastructure, but we actually back that with a 99.95% SLA. So that not only covers the pieces that IBM manage, but for example, in the compute world, it also includes the infrastructure underneath the customer environment, compute, storage, as well as the hypervisor as well. So it's an all-inclusive enterprise-focused SLA, and we back this with 24/7 support as well. So this is really how we try to formulate this. It's a hosted cloud. It's managed by IBM, and it's a complete private model, but with the open technologies that customers are starting to widely adopt as well. I just want to kind of touch on a couple more features that are really important about this, that really resonate also well with what enterprises have been asking us with. I've already talked a bit about the open technology, and I'm going to talk a bit more later on about our commitment to OpenStack and how we've brought this together as a service. It's not just putting OpenStack onto some hardware and calling it a day. So I'm going to talk a bit about that a little bit later. I've mentioned about the availability, but I want to kind of expand a bit on our support model around that. So not only do we provide 24/7 support here, but it's over the telephone, it's via email, online tickets, IBM moderated forums as well, and we are training as well as we are bringing a lot more of our OpenStack expertise from within our company right to the foreground, where you can get your questions answered by people who have deployed OpenStack and use it from an operations or development standpoint as well. So we're really trying to make that expertise available to you via the service as well. Couple things around security. Security, as I've already mentioned, is a very important key requirement and ask from our customers around OpenStack and even cloud in general. So I just want to touch on a few things here. So not only by inheritance nature that the environment is dedicated, you get security there, but we've also enhanced the stock OpenStack that you get from the community. And within this service, you're actually using IBM's distribution. It's called IBM Cloud Manager with OpenStack. And we've done a lot of enterprise-level security enhancements to that, specifically targeting operating systems and provisioning of workloads as well. So we've done a lot of enhancements there that are really important. The entire process around the service, how we govern it, how we manage it, is to IBM's security standards and policies, and these are the same security standards and policies our company is run by, and the same ones that we offer clients through our outsourcing business as well. So you're really getting top-notch security here. And lastly, we have continuous mechanisms around how we secure and maintain and scan the environment for any vulnerabilities that do arise over time. So this is a really important point, and I think it's vastly different than just, like I mentioned before, taking OpenStack and putting it on a couple servers and using it. So this is really like a real environment here. Just the last couple points. The way you can consume this, it's expandable. You can, on the fly, you can add more hardware to it. You can add more storage, things like that, and you get complete control over the environment. Like I said, you're not sharing this with other customers, which means you can use all the APIs, and it's only your company that's firing off those APIs. You can secure them with your own user and account management, and you can do that either through the APIs, or you can even use the same Horizon portal that you're already used to. And I'll show you a bit about that in the demo as well. How do we sell this? We sell this on a flat monthly rate subscription. There's no upfront capital investment required. You pay at the beginning of the month, you use the environment, and you renew it for the next month. So it's a pretty simple model. I'd like to just kind of shift and talk a little bit more in depth about what's underneath the hood and these particular items. So number one, I want to start talking about our commitment to OpenStack and providing it as a service. So what I want to start out with is, we're based on right now this particular offering service is based on OpenStack Icehouse, and we have because we are providing this as a service. There's really two balances that we're offering customers. One is there's a specific set of customers who always want to be on the bleeding edge of software. So we have a mandate where, as new OpenStack releases are released, for example, Juno was just announced earlier this week. We will make Juno and any other release available shortly after it is released into the OpenStack community. And we will provide this. This is a part of the service. You don't pay anything extra. This is a part of the service. But we also do recognize that there are, especially in the enterprise world, there are many customers, where, depending on the type of workload, especially if they're trying to put a production workload there, they may want to stay on Icehouse for a year or two, and that's fine. We will give the customer definitely options around this, whether they want to do the upgrade or not, and that upgrade is completely handled by IBM. IBM is managing this entire OpenStack environment as well, so we patch it, we'll upgrade it as needed as well. So this is all the things that are a part of the service here. In addition, I just want to mention that what you see on the chart here is these are all the you're familiar with these because these are all the components and projects within OpenStack. And we adopt and support in the environment anything that the OpenStack community has declared as the mainstream project. So these are all the mainstream projects. The ones that are experimental still in Icehouse were Trove and Sahara. So as those get promoted and graduated into and declared by the OpenStack community as being stable enough to be mainstream, we pick those up and we make those available to our customers. So that's our story on OpenStack. I want to talk a bit about what's underneath the hood. So when you buy one of these private clouds, what are you actually getting? So let me start first with the management system. The first thing that I want to point out here is that the management system is inclusive of really 2-3 components. So number one, as we would all expect, is that there's an OpenStack management environment here. And we're following the standard default 3-way highly available OpenStack controller environment here. So you're actually getting, we can do our patching, we can do our upgrade of the OpenStack controllers as needed without interruption to your cloud environment. So this is really important that you get the OpenStack controllers as a part of this, but you also get network gateways a part of the service as well. And we've set it up in a way where these network gateways are diverse. You're getting 2 diverse paths. You're getting one path that only deals with customer data, and that data path is completely separate from the IBM management data path. And this diversity is something that especially our enterprise customers have, they use it today, and they continue to ask for it in the cloud world. And this is something that we're making available really to meet that requirement. And this is also there are some security regulations in especially even how we manage some of these services to do this. So it's really important to understand that we have taken some of these extreme these security concerns into incorporation within our management system, and it's all set up highly available and redundant in that fashion as well. So that's the management system. Also, just kind of if you're looking at the diagram here, customers, because they get to deploy into any of the software data centers, we have inherent within the solution, we have put together a setup where the entire network is dual and redundant. And customers actually have the choice of whether they want to be 1 gigabit dual redundant or 10 gigabit dual redundant. Especially a lot of our new data center designs that are available through software, specifically London, Toronto, and Melbourne, they all have a dual option. You can go dual redundant 1 gig or dual redundant 10 gig. This is really important because a lot of customers are asking about the dual redundant 10 gigs. They want faster network speeds, less latency on the networks, and things like this. So there's definitely, we provide both of those options as well. The next piece here is the compute nodes. And again, you can buy these by the drink. So you can buy as little or as many of these nodes as you want. And we also give you the option of having 3 different flavors. There's something that we call balance, which is a good balance for most types of workloads. And then something called memory optimized, which has double the amount of memory as well as a faster CPU, a 2.9 gigahertz CPU from the balanced. And by the way, the balance starts out at 128 gigs of RAM. Your memory optimized is sitting at about 256. And your I/O optimized is essentially your balance, but with solid state disk. And so we give the customers the option, depending on their workload, which type of hardware they want, hardware platform they want below, and they can pick as many of those nodes as they wish. And that builds up the compute. And on top of the compute, it's not just bare metal. There's a hypervisor sitting on top of it. And IBM manages not just the hardware, but also the KVM hypervisor underneath it. Last 2 points here are block storage for persistent data storage and object storage. There's various flavors here available, and they're all set up in a highly redundant model. Specifically with object store, you'll be keeping 3 copies of your data, just like many many customers have been asking for it in Object Store, and you can, whatever you put on top of this Object Store, you'll be able to access it using the Swift APIs as well as the self-service portal interface. And the last thing I just want to mention is overall, this entire environment is very secure, and you'll see how I connect to the environment. It can only be done through a VPN with certificates as well. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about here regarding about what else is under the hood is an enhancement that we've made to our OpenStack that is very unique. And what we've actually done is we've taken our OpenStack and we've taken software-defined networking and we've integrated the two. And you don't pay anything more for this. It's part of the monthly subscription. This is a feature we provide to customers. They can consume it through the OpenStack Neutron APIs, or they can consume it through the self-service portal interface. And what they can do is basically create virtual networks for your multi-tier applications, or even if you're looking from a hosted enterprise point of view, create isolation for different parts of your applications. And you can create these networks. You can create the routing and the domain from this, all in an automated way, or again, like I mentioned, using the self-service portal interface. And because it's dynamically configured and self-service, we really believe that we're adding a lot more capability on top of just the stock OpenStack, where typically you're doing a lot of this network fabric integration yourself by picking up OpenStack. So you get this out of the box. It's ready to go. And we believe that there's a lot of value in this, in enabling these multi-tier applications and being able to bring them into the cloud as well. Last thing I want to point out here, about the service, is that there's a lot of great services available, a part of the SoftLayer brand within our cloud there. And any of those services customers can purchase from SoftLayer directly, and we can help you connect those to your private cloud. So whether it's a backup service or additional workload that you may already have working there as already being a SoftLayer customer, or if you're trying to expand using their load balancer and put different workload on a public cloud and private cloud and do these types of things. There's a lot of services there that you can continue to take advantage from even with this private cloud. I mentioned this a little bit earlier as well, but you can pick any of the SoftLayer data centers around the world to deploy this in. We actually just recently launched Melbourne, and I believe there was a blog article about what we're doing in Paris now as well. So there's a lot of data centers we have on the footprint right now, a lot that we're planning for around the globe, and a lot of these are all managed towards our top security standards as well, around SOC and HIPAA, PCI, so on and so forth. So it's really important to know that you get a flexibility of having a global footprint. You could be a European company, but you can deploy your environment closer to your North American customers or your Asian customers, and that's really that footprint and that global flexibility is really our way of helping our customers get that global reach and be close to their customers as possible. Just to round out, so why even choose IBM for something around, OpenStack or even an OpenStack service? So as I already mentioned, the data footprint's one thing, but we're also contributing quite heavily to the OpenStack community in the development of OpenStack itself. We're the number 2 contributions in the last several releases. Juno that just came out, we had about 400 developers working on that. We've made 15 core contributions. This has come up quite a way since Folsom a couple of years ago, where we were making about 4 core contributions. So the project is growing, our contributions are growing. We are then taking what we do in open source and further strengthening that with our enterprise distro of OpenStack, and again, a part of this service, further completing the breadth of the features by doing things like integrating software-defined networking and bringing those as a service to customers. And lastly, by also providing that 24/7 support around the entire service as well. So we have a lot of knowledge in OpenStack and developing it in open source and providing that, and we really think that's a really strong, important point. But aside from that, this is a service. So at the end of the day, we have tons of experience in running services for very large companies, as well as enabling new models around things like Internet of Things that are very active in the market, as well as data analytics and cloud and things like that. So we have a ton of experience doing this, and this isn't us saying at this slide. This is from IDC, so let the words speak for themselves there. So we have a lot of experience around just running services and things like that that we really think that customers will resonate quite well with having OpenStack as a service for their business. And what I'd like to do now is we're roughly about 30 minutes past, and I'd like to basically flip my screen and kind of walk you through a demo environment. This is a sandbox that I have, so hopefully you can still see my dashboard here. And so what you're seeing right now is this is the landing page for the product here, and it'll give you some brief information about the offering, and there's some information here that you can scroll through and things like that. But really, this is the place for once you've this is really the customer portal. So once you've purchased the product, this is the place where you can access the dashboard, and more importantly, you can access documentation, which we keep continually fresh. We actually have a team that works on creating content there, not just in terms of documentation, but blogs and white papers and tutorials and articles. A lot of that is stored in the documentation, as well as how to get support for the product. So I'm going to walk through some of these items here to kind of really give you that demo here as well. And if you happen to ever fall upon this page, there's a feedback button. We would love to be able to collect some feedback about anything you have regarding the product, regarding how to find something, or even anything positive you'd like to say. We really appreciate hearing your thoughts on that. So let me actually take you through here, and I'll show you how you actually connect to the environment. So you come right here into the dashboard, and you can see that you can't just from the public internet hit your dashboard, right? Because you must have a VPN connection active. As I mentioned, the whole private cloud is barricaded with a VPN and firewall gateway, and so we provide that through an OpenVPN. You can use an OpenVPN client. When you do board, we will give you certificates for it, and the connection will become active in a few seconds here. This is all live. This is not pre-recorded. So we have a successful connection here. So let me go ahead and open a new window to the dashboard. And by the way, if you're seeing the word Zenith around here, this was the code name for our project. So you'll probably see that will change quite quickly when we do roll this out. And so let me just log in so I can remember my passwords. And again, this is all stock OpenStack that you're seeing right here. So this is the Horizon dashboard. A lot of this should look familiar to you. But now I'm into my own private cloud, and I'm just a regular user. I'm not a privileged user. I'm not an administrator to the environment. So what you see here is, I've been given access to a particular part of the project, which means the resources as well were carved off for my particular part of the project. So although the environment is probably larger than 20 vCPUs here, and larger than 50 gigs of available RAM, and larger than a terabyte of disk, through the role-based authentication and the projects that are natively a part of OpenStack, I'm just a user, a demo user in that entire capacity of hardware and resource. So what I'd like to do is just show you some things that we've done. So let me just start out with and talk a bit about from the compute standpoint. So if I go into the instances, right here I just have a typical web server running, and I'm going to actually just go into the launching of a new instance. I want to talk a bit about flavors here. So what we've done is we've done two things around trying to make sure we have really good defaults for you to just get started when you get the environment. One is to have really good flavors. So what we've done is we've actually created a whole set of flavors here. And essentially the first number that you see is the number of vCPU. The second number that you see is the amount of RAM. And this is just to kind of get started. So we have something called standard, super, high CPU, high memory, and big machine, which is typically what our data analytics tools might use. And so based on your workload, you can pick what you want. A lot of web servers, you can get away with 1 to 2, or standard type of setup, but maybe your application server needs something bigger. So I'm gonna try a 2x8. I'm gonna fire up one of those. So we've provided the flavors by default. We've also provided some default operating systems. You see some of them here. We've also added SLES since this sandbox, and we've also added Windows 2008. I know that we're also working on some other Windows images as well. But here you can pick any of these images that you want. So these are vanilla images. They don't come with a license. So this is really just an image that you use to deploy, and then as a customer you can bring your license in and activate it. If you have an image of your own, we also have a full tutorial guide in our documentation that teaches you how to package it up, whether it came from a VMware hypervisor or another cloud environment, how to package it up and import it into the environment. So you can bring your own image or bring your own license as well. So I'm just going to pick an Ubuntu license here, or an Ubuntu image here. I have just a standard key pair and a default security group, so on and so forth. So I'll just click the launch button here. And I should probably name it something, so let's call it my app server. And there's an error submitting the form, just like in every demo. I'll just give it one more chance. Web server 2, let's just pick some defaults here. There we go. So, and like I mentioned, this is a sandbox environment. So you're going to see it spawning, and it does its normal activity here. But I just wanted to kind of, point out that, the environment is quite secure. Got in with a VPN. We give you some good defaults. We have the Horizon dashboard. You can get in with, you can secure your environment with the key pairs for this, and so on and so forth. There's also storage. You can control it through the volumes here. There's also network pieces as well here. So, and I'll just quickly show you in the network. Right now, there's just one network here that's present here. It's just one flat network. That's what we had in this sandbox environment. So let me just quickly, I want to show you some more before getting too deep into this, but I want to show you the documentation section. So this is all content that we keep very fresh here. So there's getting started guides, there's how to set up the environment, some deeper FAQs, so on and so forth, and the full user guide and the API overview. So there's a lot of content here we continually try to keep fresh, as well as a lot of it's very tactical. So even if you wanted to get in and use the command lines, you can get in here. This offering is available and it's translated in 9 languages. All the tier 1 languages are available here, as well as if you wanted to purchase this, it's available in local. It will be available in local currencies as well. But this is all documentation. There's also our support page, through ticket, email, or telephone as well. So we've really tried to take a service view on how we provide OpenStack as a service. What I'd like to do is just make sure that, let me just get back to here. Is if you definitely want to learn more about the offering, or even just connect with me, my email's on the screen and my LinkedIn's there as well. You feel free to reach out with any questions that you have. And if you will happen to be at the OpenStack Summit in Paris, you can probably find me at the IBM booth on the Monday as well as possibly the Tuesday. And I will be doing a deeper demo on Wednesday of that week as well, about a 10-minute demo. So I'll probably show you a lot more about what the offering can bring. And with that, I will then turn it back over to Raphael if there are any questions.
Thank you so much, Ashish, for the presentation, for the demo. There are actually no questions so far from the audience. So if any one of you has any questions, please do so. But in the meantime, I have one for you. So what use cases are you specifically targeting with your IBM OpenStack-based solution?
Okay, no, that's a really good question. So predominantly right now, with what we're focusing on right now, is really focusing on our enterprise use case. So our use case around making sure that these businesses get an environment where they can run production workload if that's what they chose, or they can use this as their base infrastructure for various things. So they can, if they wanted to do some development and take that into staging and then take that into production. But if they want to do that all on one platform, this is very possible, right? With our software-defined networking and integration, they can do that as well. From a workload standpoint, we've been really focusing on hosted enterprise analytics as well as the web and mobile, and we actually have a lot of interesting applications from the web and mobile that are being tried out right now. Not only have we done an internal beta last year as well with our own internal teams, but we have some external customers as well who are using the environment, and they're doing some really interesting things around Internet of Things and analytics and things like that. That is really interesting types of workloads.
Thanks. So a couple questions are pouring in right now. So is there any concern to install all the OpenStack components just in one VM host?
So yeah, let me expand on that. So it's not all installed onto one VM host. Actually, let me, since I have this up, let me show you if I can connect to this virtual machine. Another piece I can show you. Oh, it looks like somebody took my machine over while I was in the demo. But what I wanted to show you was essentially we don't install this all onto one VM host. We actually have 3 physical machines that are in high availability, and there's actually multiple virtual machines that host each of the components. And I really do want to show you, so I'm going to just pause here for a second, see if I can unshare my screen, and then flip over to give me a second. Okay, so share. Okay, so you should see my screen again, and this is just this is what I had in the remote desktop. But there's other people using that, so I took a screenshot yesterday just in case this ever happened. But what you see in here is the first 3 hosts that are listed there. You'll see they're listed as HAB. So it's actually the high availability controller. So we actually have 3 physical boxes that run these controllers, and on them are multiple virtual machines. And because we're monitoring this, with an SLA, we are monitoring the availability with agents and every single component within OpenStack for this. So you can see the table below, which shows the component, whether it's compute, the Nova network, so on and so forth. But even Swift, we have all the listings for Swift and everything like that. So we run all these on. We've cleverly carved them up onto separate VMs. Again, so these are VMs. This is just an example of on one physical box, but we actually do the same on the other high availability proxies, and we HA them all together. So that's one point. The other thing I want to show here is that because we're monitoring this and we have alerts and we have a support organization that backs this. This just shows you the reason this was marked is because this actually tells us that this is a sandbox environment, and one of our HA proxies actually went down. So this is actually we actually use a Tivoli tool, TEP, that helps us do some of this monitoring. So this is one example from an OpenStack point of view. But just to go further, I also mentioned that we manage the customer's environment as well. So this is a little bit different because I think when you're shopping around for an OpenStack environment, especially an OpenStack service, you'll see different SLAs from different companies out there. And ours, is a 99.95, but it also includes the customer environment, the compute and the storage. But on the compute, it also includes the hypervisor as well. We manage that and provide that a part of the SLA. So in this sandbox environment, what you see is this machine, which is WDC01 QKR. That's the actual physical compute node, and the one right above it, which is KVM, that's the actual hypervisor. So we're monitoring both of these. I just want to point that out. And in this example, this particular physical compute node, we actually noticed the Nova server was down and things like this. So we're monitoring all these things. We have them on separate VMs where it's not all on one. So it's not a worry that into our OpenStack environment goes down, and we have them on separate hardware. Hope that answered your question.
All right. So there's only